Okay, good afternoon. We are welcome to the Police, Fire and Crime Panel. This is now a confirmation hearing that we have, and I just like to we are recording this live with the public viewing, so welcome to those that are watching it live, and welcome to those that watch it at a later date to their convenience. So, Sarah Wilkes, welcome, and we've got one or two questions. Not onerous, so please relax. This isn't an interrogation, but here we go. So the confirmation is a proposed appointment to the post of the Section 151 officer, which is the Chief Finance Officer for the Commissioner's Office. Okay, and the panel procedure, the background information and the job description has been received and the specifications are attached. The candidate information has been circulated to members of the panel. So the recommendations are here to receive representations from the Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner on the criteria met by the chosen candidate, and to receive the presentation by and to questions the proposed Section 151 officer on their skills, experience and ability to meet the criteria of the post. So, Commissioner, would you like to introduce?
Thank you, Chairman. I won't say much because Sarah can more than speak for herself. I'm really delighted to introduce Sarah to you. We've had two excellent people in this role in recent years. I think more than anything it's cemented for me how important it is for me to have my own 151 officer. We did share that role with the Fire and Rescue Service for quite a period, and a number of you will know David Greensmith took that role. He's currently dedicated to looking after the fire finances and has helped us in the interim. I really thank David because he's done a tremendous job. But looking and having an overview of the two services and really appreciating what influence we might have, particularly with devolution and local government reorganisation down the road, is really quite important, I think, just for setting up a more sustainable future. I'll just draw your attention, if I may, Chair, this role is somewhat expanded from before, including the assurance manager role, and I think that's where Sarah particularly stood out through the process, that wider capability and experience that she's got, which will assist Louise and the team in some of the process and, dare I say, bureaucracy involved with our role as a Commissioner's Office. I think she's going to really help us with governance and maintaining a good a sort of formality around a lot of the processes that we have to undertake. Again, hopefully, if you give her a chance to say hi, she'll cover some of that off. She can't start soon enough as far as I'm concerned, and it's a little while since we had the interview, and I have already apologised to Newcastle Borough Council because I know they fear they're losing one of their best officers.
Thanks, Commissioner. Do you want from Sarah first? Or? Yeah. Sarah, would you like to introduce yourself to the panel, and then we'll take it from there?
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for having me, and it's really nice to meet you all. My name's Sarah Wilkes. I'm currently the Finance Director and Section 151 Officer at Newcastle Underline Borough Council. I've been there for 18 years, just gone, last week, which is quite a long time. Prior to that, I was I worked at Stoke City Council, and prior to that I worked in the private sector. So I've had experience from private sector and public sector over my 30-year career. Currently, I'm responsible for producing the medium-term financial strategy, the capital strategy, the investment strategy, the treasury management strategy, all those key strategies that interlink to form your budget on an annual basis. Huge amounts of pressures that we've incurred over the last sort of few years, particularly sort of, since COVID. Everything's got much tighter with funding. Demands on services have hugely increased. It's a kind of double-ended sword, really, that we're having to sort of manage and kind of navigate ourselves through on a daily basis, really. I'm from Staffordshire. I've always lived in Staffordshire. I've grown up in Staffordshire and raising my family in Staffordshire. I love the county. I've got a real passion for sort of doing my bit to try and help services operate as best as they can, whether that is from the local government side, whether that is from the police, fire, crime commission side. Staffordshire is a wonderful place with some of the nicest people you could ever imagine to meet, and having the chance to sort of support that community, I'm very privileged to do. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Greatly appreciate that. The panel will no doubt have some questions. Who would like to kick off? Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Chair, and welcome, Sarah. First question from me. What's your experience of managing change, and how do you see that being useful in this role? With particular examples would be really helpful. Thank you.
So I've been heavily involved with managing change, particularly more so over the last 7-8 years, I would say, in my career. If I give you a couple of examples, so where Newcastle Borough Council is actually based, we're in a shared building, so Castle House in Newcastle is shared with the police, with Staffordshire County Council. There's the library element in there, but in order for us to move into that building to make the services work, there was a number of different sites that all of the services and all of the organisations occupied. So when I returned back from maternity leave, it was kind of discussed that we were thinking about having new offices for the council, and that we're going to share the building with, as I said, the county council and the police, and how would we do that, really, and then how would we bring all the officers and along with us on that journey. So it was a huge success, I must say. We did actually build a new building. We got rid of a lot of old sites. All the officers kind of came together under one roof, and that has worked amazingly well. Just that we have a community safety team that sit within the Borough Council, down the corridor from the police, that how they work together now is so much more efficient, and both sort of sides are aware of the issues that we have and that we have, to deal with, so that the residents and the public can get the best service. But trying to sort of, people are very resistant to change, aren't they? They don't like anything new, they don't like changing from their routines, and getting the officers to be on board with that change. There was a lot of people that didn't like the idea at first, but having been in a building for 7 years now, I think it is, it works amazingly well, and I don't think anyone really kind of looks back to when we were in our little pigeonholes and not talking to each other. So that's an element of change. Second one I would give is COVID. So I was appointed the Section 151 officer just as COVID erupted, as it were, and we were all, sort of thrown upside down with our roles. Funding our income stream stopped overnight, and central government gave us £65,000 initially to continue our operations. Well, we used that £65,000 to put those 9 homeless people in Newcastle at the time, so that money kind of put those 9 homeless people into supported accommodation. We were thinking, right, okay, how long is this going to go on for? How on earth are we going to continue financially operating as an authority? So we started, it's called the One Council Transformation Programme, and this was to review all the services that we had across the council, whether that was to make them more efficient or effective, or whether it's to save money on those services. And that was a 3-year programme. Again, lots of change in respect of how we deliver services, whether that was an IT more efficient function, or whether that was streamlining the processes that we had to be able to deliver some of those services, getting the buy-in from staff to change some of the ways that they've done things for 20 plus years, bits of paper flying around, moving over to digital sort of provision of a service. It was huge, but over that 3 years we managed to save £1.73 million on a reoccurring basis, so it was a worthwhile project. It's a continuing thing now. I think it's embedded in all the offices within the authority, that if they see anything that they think can be done better, they're evolving. Really, it's kind of embedded in their work culture. So, a couple of areas where I think I've been heavily involved in change.
I can never get the hang of these. Thank you so much for that. I guess could you just, and I think you've tied it quite nicely actually, but with regards to how you see that, all that experience you've got, and you've got vast amounts, how do you see that being, transferred into your new, possibly your new role with the Commissioner?
The national environment that we're in at the moment, the Commissioner mentioned about local government reorganisation and devolution earlier. I am on lots of webinars and meetings in relation to this at the moment, because it's going to be a huge change for Staffordshire. So the first element being the local government reorganisation, how those authorities are going to come together to deliver services which are best for our residents. Challenges with that already, because different authorities have got different views on what the geographical picture might look like, on how those services might be delivered, but it's working through those challenges, and it's building those really good partnerships with the organisations within Staffordshire, and being able to communicate to actually get a really good end result. I think the experience that I've had previously, I've learned a lot from certainly from COVID, that how adaptable not just myself can be, but that officers around you can be when there's change kind of required on a very quick basis, and a huge, a big change. I mean, LGR and devolution is a massive change for the whole county, and what that might look like in a few years' time. So I'd like to think that what I have experienced in the past, I'll certainly be able to bring something to the table.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Williams, and thank you, Sarah, for those responses. So, another question, Mr. Bowen?
Thank you. I'm a co-opted member on this panel. You can read into that what you like. In order to enable the Commissioner to achieve his priorities, how will you ensure there's a culture of delivering results?
So I think in order to deliver priorities, it's buy-in from everybody within the organisation, not only the Commissioner's office but also the police and fire as well, ensuring that everybody is working together to achieve the same priorities. I think from a financial point of view, accountability has to go to all levels of officers. It isn't just a senior leadership element. It's making sure that you are open and honest and transparent with any decisions that are made, and those decisions that are made, you are reporting on performance of those decisions, so that the public, the residents, can see what is happening, what is changing, how their money is being spent, because a huge amount of the services is funded by precepts as well as the Home Office grant funding as well. So, and everyone is interested. I'm a resident. I'm interested in how my council tax gets spent within the county. So I think it's those being accountable, being transparent, being just open up, honest, and having that integrity, and just really close working relationship with all partners within the county.
Thank you very much. Councillor Atkins.
Thank you, Chair. So what experience do you have working with partners and agencies, particularly those that the police either contribute financially to or work with already? If you could give some examples, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, so as I said earlier, where I currently work in Newcastle, we do share a building with the police. We have a community safety team who are heavily involved with delivering aspects of the police's work. we get funding every year. That particular team does get some funding. I think it's around about 80,000 off the top of my head, I want to say, to actually deliver some really good community work through that. I think earlier, as I was sat listening to the police fire crime panel's agenda, and there was discussions around sort of performance and stats, and how many thefts there's been in areas, etc. We do that individually at Newcastle as a borough as well, and a lot of the work that we do and a lot of the data that's in those reports that gets reported to our cabinet meetings is funded by the Commissioner's Office. So that is really key part of just one element of the services that the council actually delivers, but is in very, very close connection with the police and the Commissioner's Office. Work with various partners. That also includes Aspire, which is a housing association where we are. We have a few cases currently at the moment where there's antisocial behaviour in some of their properties, and we are heavily involved with trying to resolve some of those aspects because it is impacting on the residents around those particular properties. So working very, very closely with Aspire to resolve some of those issues, and hopefully get those residents' lives back on track, because it's antisocial behaviour it impacts people so much. With children involved, and it's really distressing for everybody. So we do work quite closely with the housing association. Also work with lots of other partners in relation to, we have a lot of regeneration projects as well happening in Newcastle at the moment. So that's one of the large partners is a social developer, where we have 3 big regeneration projects that we're working on in Newcastle at the moment, and that is the basis of those regeneration projects is to actually build communities within Newcastle, and that is not just for a developer to come along and make an old building look really nice again. That's for this developer to come along, make that old building look really nice, and actually to encourage the community to inhabit that building and stay there and grow within that area. So it's kind of making sure that Newcastle evolves. There's a lot of towns in the country at the moment which are struggling because businesses are moving out and they're going to the retail parks, and then you tend to get antisocial behaviour in the town because there's not much there for people to come to. Newcastle has been changing that for a little while now, and these regeneration projects will also really help change that, and change people will want to come to Newcastle more than they do now, because there'll be more there to come to, and they'll be living there, and it's expanding those communities. So lots of various different partners all doing different things, but with the same end game, really.
No doubt you'll be working with your housing group as well as Aspire, the housing association. We've had a little bit of success recently. But what about your partnership with the voluntary sector, particularly when you're talking about the increase in mental health crises that people face, whether that be a mental health charity or the Samaritans, which is threatened a reorganisation at the moment. So the voluntary sector plays a really important role, and I think sometimes we take them for granted. And I just wondered what sort of partnership work you perhaps have looked at in respect of the voluntary sector.
Yeah, certainly. So as an authority, we do everything we can in relation to voluntary sector work. That doesn't always necessarily mean giving them funding to do things with, because funding is it's very, very tight across the board at the moment, isn't it? But that might be that we can do other things in respect to they have the use of our assets, so they might be able to use one of our buildings to hold a meeting or an afternoon session where they can discuss mental health, or if it's just to come in and have a cup of tea and a biscuit and a chat. Sometimes that's all some people really want. We use the library service within the Castle House building. We quite often hold sort of a tea and a biscuit morning where people can come in, particularly in the winter time as well, when it's cold and people don't want to be at home because they can't afford to have the heating on, and they want somewhere else to go just to be able to have a conversation, sit somewhere warm, have a cup of coffee, and it really makes the day. So there's lots of aspects of voluntary working. As an officer, we try to do as much voluntary work ourselves as we can within limitations of obviously our day-to-day working. So last year, the corporate leadership team at Newcastle, we went to a food bank, and we for an afternoon, and we spent the afternoon wrapping presents for families that wouldn't be able to afford to buy anything at Christmas time. And we have we encourage that with all our staff. So we have voluntary days that staff can have. I think it's 2 a year or something. We can just go and volunteer at whatever organisation it is that they want to. So very aware of the sector's need for support. That is financial, but it's also time as well. When we did the voluntary work at the food bank last year, they said it would have taken them weeks to wrap all the gifts and everything for the families that we did in an afternoon, and they were very appreciative. And it was just a small bit of our time, but a huge impact on the community, really. So
my wrapping skills got much better last Christmas as well for doing exactly the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Atkins, and thanks again, Sarah, for those answers. So we've got another question, I think, coming from Mr. Elliott.
Oh, Sarah, nearly there. I'm the other co-optee, so we're the trouble. What's your experience of consulting with the public and gaining their views and opinions? And here we're thinking about the consultation which takes place prior to the preset setting.
So on an annual basis, we do a consultation with the public to ask them what services are important to them, what would they like to see prioritised, what we're not doing very well, because that's just as important from our point of view. That takes place, we usually kind of do that around about December time, and that'll be for a whole month of December, where we have a survey which the general public can respond to. Then during January, we obviously review the results of that survey, and if there's anything really key in there that we think we need to adjust the budget for, we have time to do that before that budget goes to full council in the middle of February for full approval. So that's just the budget consultation that we do. In respect of LGR, the council are currently doing various consultations and surveys around what residents think around the whole local government reorganisation agenda, and there's a number of questions there that we will be reviewing when those consultation periods have closed. There's as a local authority, there's various different consultations throughout the whole year that we provide. That might be on a planning application or a regeneration project. So we've had a lot of consultation times, meetings, I suppose, that around the big regeneration project, so people can come and have a look around and see the vision that the council has for that particular building or that area, and they have time to give their opinions, whether they think we could do something different, or they don't agree, or whether they think it's great, but it's really needed. So we do a lot. What I have been involved in a lot of consultation. I am involved in a lot of consultation, but it's really important that you take those results and that you digest them, that you actually use them for something. It's not just doing a consultation for the sake of ticking a box to say you've done a consultation. You need to be actually looking at the results of that consultation.
Sorry, Chair, can I just any surprise on that last budget consultation that made you change your plans for January?
No, there wasn't actually. Sadly, it wasn't. We didn't get as many responses to the consultation last year as we have done in previous years. Not quite sure why. But there was nothing in there that we hadn't already addressed in the budget. And the services that people were really wanted to see continue were your waste collection, those things that are really key to a resident, and it's something that impacts them on a weekly basis, so and their open spaces. So there wasn't. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Screen.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, Sarah answered my question when she replied to Mr Bowen, so I'm okay with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's all we're going to question today, Sarah. So what we'll do now is we're going to adjourn the meeting, and we'll adjourn. We will deliberate what our response will be, and we'll be back shortly. So if we're members, I adjourn the meeting at 1:03, and we'll be back shortly. Thank you. Okay. And we return. And we're delighted to say, Sarah, that confirmation is very much confirming your appointment from the Commissioner. And we wish you all the very, very best. We absolutely do feel that you are the right person. So we wish you all that best of luck and best wishes from the panel for your time now at the working for the Commissioner. So thank you. Thank you. And I then formally close the meeting at 1:08, I think it is. 1:10 we'll record. Thank you very much for your attendances. Thank you.